So if you are going through some stuff, definitely I also would have gone through that scenario before. So it's not something that is new. So today what we'll be doing shouldn't be too long, shouldn't be too detailed. We'll be focusing on number one. We'll look at the Git. So that's why I asked if you watched the last recording. You didn't watch the last recording. The Git was not done properly. That's one. Number two, we'll be looking at how we can be, as in the environment. Yes, we'll still touch a little bit of the environment. Then we'll look at maybe a little bit of Golang, maybe. Like I said, it's supposed to be a very short session, hopefully. Now let's start with the Git. So I did say something that I didn't see what I was expecting. Now, if you look at this very well, you will notice that your own push you pushed into the main repo, which is a no-no. You don't work on the main branch. You don't work on the main branch. You work on future branch only. The develop branch and the main branch are controlled. They are, you do stuff and merge into them. Long story. You need to go and read about Git flow, right? In Git flow, every other thing, commits or merged into develop and main. I think I covered the class on that for you. So share that video with this other guy so that you can get to understand. I don't want to repeat too much of that again in this video. Now, when I was doing this branch, I thought I mentioned that we're going to be posting into Chun-Li, 0.1. That's why I asked if you watched your other class. So make it a reference to always go back to what I went through, so that not to repeat some easy to overlook mistakes. Okay, now that we have this done like this, we need to reconcile what is happening here, because this you've done some things inside here. I think we were up and running under the developer main. We were able to commit quite a lot of code inside the develop and main, which is all right. Before I branched off, because the idea is that you're supposed to be putting your code inside version 0.1 Chun-Li, eventually until we create a release and then we make it available for whosoever needs to use it. So how do we reconcile this? You've gone ahead and pushed into main. And by the way, if you are running this and then you can, because by default, when you fork a project, it's gonna end up in main. You are supposed to check under here origin and go to see other branches that is available. Don't just open the project and just start working on it. You're supposed to, again, especially if there are rules governing how you're supposed to do these things. So you are supposed to come to this guy and double click. When you double click, it will make itself available to you over here. Okay, let's move on. Now that we've done this, what you need to do now is to merge. You need to bring all the code inside main and bring it to future. Normally, you guys won't be doing this. This is not the normal practice, but because of what has happened, I need to resolve this stuff. And this might be a little bit messy, depending on how much change that was done, right? The good thing is that I think my code was on Golang, and I think you've not done anything on Golang, so there won't be conflict, so to say. Now, I need to move to main. I can move to main. I need to move to main and then double click. This is me now in main. You get to see that this is bold and this other one is in a light font. The font of the weight, and then the weight of the font is normal. Then I can pull this normal thing, and then I'm up to date. But the idea is, remember, you're not supposed to be pushing into main. In fact, I need to put a lock around it. It's supposed to be secure. these are what they call secure branches. You're not supposed to be able to do anything on develop and main. Now that we've gone ahead, the main is ahead of other guys, because the main is supposed to be where your production stuff is. Your develop is supposed to be what you're developing. Now, if I come here, I can just drag and drop and put inside my main feature. So look at what I'm doing. I'm just dragging and drop. Like I said, you are not supposed to be doing this. So this is like a fix. It's just a benefit or something that you guys are benefiting from. Not that you'll be doing this really live. So there are different ways in which you can merge your code into another branch. The default one is just merge, simply merge. And I'm going to do that. I clicked on the first one and it's giving me this option. I'm not going to go through it. So fingers crossed, it's not going to have any conflicts. Right there, no conflict. Now, so we've successfully merged into this. Another thing you also need to merge into, develop. Not just only this, you also merge into develop, because your develop and your future are supposed to be kind of on the same level. Now, doing that, I have this stuff. So if you look at this tree very well, you kind of get a sense of what's going on. So now I'm now updated with your code. So this is your code, your to code, which is 2. Then the merge commit that I did is what makes it 3, right? So now I can push that to the world or to the repo by coming to push this way. Now you now have access to it. If you now want to use or continue with what you are doing now, what you're supposed to do is you go through remote, origin, futures, then you click on this one. Immediately you double click this, it will tell you that you should track it. Now, because I already have it locally, it's saying, oh, I can't track it again. I already have it locally. So if it's your first time doing this, this track button is going to be active for you. Now that I have that, next thing for me is let me push it upward so that you can have access to it. So when I double click, it becomes active, and you can see that my code has changed to that branch. I can push this, and there you go. We have it. That is all for this Git. Technically we are done with Git. Now let's see what you have done so far. I think something changed. Of course, you can see what changed by the coloration of what is happening in the folder. That will tell you if anything has changed before now. We've already pulled the update, so we can't see what has changed except we try it out. Now, I said what we're going to be working on is the environment. What do I mean by the environment? The environment is more of like the setup. I mentioned few things about it the last time, like what are the setup, what are the structure in which you want to start deploying your app. So let me see what you've done. Even though you said you've been setting up the stuff, let me see what you've been doing. CD front end. Okay. And there's this package here. You can, very nifty package here, npm. It just allows you to run your npm stuff. It's not seeing any npm stuff. Wow, interesting. Okay, maybe because we're not in the root directory. Let me leave my pets down here. I think it's been long I play with my pets. Okay, so a lot of things has technically gone wrong. So I think I need to do npm install or something. So let's try and rebuild the whole thing. CD front end npm install. So this will kind of maybe repair whatever thing that needs to be repaired. and hopefully if anything was tampered with or not working the way it's supposed to be, it should start working correctly right about now. So let's give it a try again and see if it will work well. Okay, it worked well. So technically, when you were trying to set up this stuff, maybe one or two things must have been removed or thereabouts. And we can't see the changes from here, because from here it didn't change anything. Obviously, I'm guessing what happened was that is the node modules that has been updated. We can go to the packages and see what has been added. I don't think anything was added in the packages, so we've not seen any serious things done from what we have the last time. So let me, okay, so we've already have, this is the template, nice one. Okay, so you've been coming up with a template. Okay. Let me check what I was talking about here. Remember, the focus of what we are doing is strictly mobile. So every view must align to mobile view. So this is still desktop view. This is still desktop view. So this is still desktop view. Your view should be mobile centric. This is still desktop view, strictly mobile. Okay, so that's by the way. While that one is doing what it's doing, I'm not going to touch the front end or not. And I'm not going to, because what I wanted to do was to beef up the environment. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that. So I have a project I normally use, like a template that I use to bootstrap what it is that I want to do, especially when it comes to Node.js or JavaScript, TypeScript kind of a thing. Okay, so where do we start from? I can start from TypeScript here. There's quite a number of things that we will need to do. So I will just do copy and paste, right? And then we'll work our way down. I will explain it as I do it. So I've just copied a whole bunch of stuff, right? So this one is normal. These are standard information that we have here. Now this one is to create HTML plugin, which allows me to zip HTML as well. I think this guy allows for zipping of HTML. Now this part .NET, this one is for importation of environment variable. FX, I can't remember what FX is for, but it's doing something there. Now I use this one for package management in order for me to automatically do increment of version. Yes, anytime I build, I want it to like kind of create a new version number for me, right? That's what I did there. Now what this one is doing is to create this is the create HTML plugin, which is here, and like I said, it kind of try and minify your HTML for you. This is one of the benefits of using what's it called now, this kind of tool like Vite. You know, it's apart from the fact that you are creating a front end, it also tries to minify what it is that you are doing in such a way that everything will be, you know, better to consume later on. Now the server, this is more of like, I think we're looking at Golang. So I'm looking at port 3000. Let me leave this at port 3000 for now. So once we start the server, instead of it using the port that it is using, it will use this one. Okay, so these are build directory. This is also compress if you want it to compress the information. These are other options. Now this part is very important. This is when you are compiling or when you are building. these are tools that I will also want you to use. I'm sure you are aware of Route DOM. This is for managing routes, and that's what we're going to use. It's easier, it's very easy. You can anybody can pick this up compared to the advanced ones that we have out there. This one is way easy. Anybody can pick it up. So we're going to be using Axios and also WSR. I think I mentioned this one time around. So the idea is that I'm compressing this into one. We're going to be using FormKit. FormKit is good for, I don't think we're using Paystack for this project, so I'm just removing it. So FormKit is for form, FormMilk is for form, and the UIP is for verification. So it's a very robust tool. So we're going to be using it as well. Then for notification, Bootstrap, React, Slick. We're not going to be using this because, yeah, we're not going to be using this for now. We're not going to be using this one. OTP, yeah, I think we'll use OTP for, you know, to check when to send token and for letting the user put in the token if they verify that in their mail. So I think this is still a good one. Then phone number, at what point will we be using phone number? For now, we are not worried about this. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to, so all these guys, we're going to import them in the package JSON. That's why I said that what we're doing is setting up the environment. Now, your file, how do you want them to be named when you build? That's what this guy is doing here. So all these ones will be resolved as we go along. So this one is talking about the versioning and what have you. Okay, so we're going to be seeing a lot of error, not like error, but because there are other things that we also need to document. The next one is Vite environment D, which is not here. So I have to create that file. So it's called Vite. So because we'll also be having environment variable here. Remember, we'll have something like that. That's what this one is all about. .env. That's the plugin. We've not installed it, but once we install it, you get to see how it comes in handy. Again, I'm just gonna do copy and paste. So this one is kind of setting up your environment variable. We're not using Paystack, so I'm removing this one. So normally, if you were setting up an environment variable, you would have done this inside your environment variable and, you know, kept that there. But we're gonna leave this. This is so that you can use your environment variable within your application easily. So that's like the structure for doing this. Now, this is one of those things. This is one of the reasons that I didn't even want to do TypeScript in the first place, because of all these things that you guys are seeing. Now let's move on to the next one. We have, that's this one here, TypeScript configuration app.json. So this is more of like for compilation, right? And for verification of what it is that you're doing, how TypeScript and every JSON, or rather JavaScript, will convert and do its own thing. That's what this one is for. So I have a bundle already. I'm just going to copy and paste and replace what I have here. So that was the standard that came with it. This is the one I've refined and I've come to adopt. So we have this on its own, which calls that one that I create, this one here. Okay, so the next one is the JSON configuration here, which again is more, I have more stuff on it here. Same or more story. Okay, so we have the package JSON. So the package JSON is where we're going to be defining all the things that we'll be needing. So this versioning, it will be auto incrementing from the code I wrote. Well, we'll get to see that later. Then I have a session which I call pre-build. Then I have the Vite. So we'll talk about this later. The pre-build is once you run pre-build, it will bump the version up for you automatically. Long story. Then you have the build itself, So we're not using the contemporary build like this. We have another build that I've cooked up, which is going to call this load environment JS. Long story, do this, and then it does this thing. So it means we need to create this file. Then I have something called TypeScript check. And the idea is that to check TypeScript, to check that there's no any issue, just like this linter. Yeah, this lint, right? But I have more. This one is, does something more. And then I have formats. Format is more of like to format the code. Remember, if I mention this to you guys, I'm pretty much obsessed with making sure that your code is formatted very well, to the point that I actually went to look for something that could do that. So if you hit this format is going to look at prettier configuration that you've done and make sure that your code aligned to all the configuration. So it's pretty crazy. So I even have, I think I'm going to put everything. Yes, you guys are going to see what I want to add more. So I have the ability for the system to create, let me just remove all this one, it's called update package. And what this one does is automatically update anything that it needs to update. Because imagine you will see all this thing run here. It's not coming here automatically, the script, because we're inside a deep folder. If I put it outside now, you will be able to call these update packages and it's going to run all this one automatically. So I have another one called sync capacitor. Now, remember, the purpose of what we are doing is to create an iOS application or Android application. So we'll be needing, to create iOS app, right? So this is what is going to help us to do that. Sync capacitor. So, and we have a bunch of them, not just one, because we'll be doing for Android. So we have the one that will build for Android and does this thing, right? And then we have the one that will build for iOS. Now the first one is just to create what's it called now? There's something that it first creates first, then before it builds it itself. And that's what these ones are doing. Then you can also go ahead and create a release version for it, then followed by iOS version for it. You can see that guy is even doing it automatically for me. Okay, so you can see all the thing that you have to call. Of course, this might not run on your system. If you are using a Windows, you won't be able to run iOS, release and everything like that. But you can do this on Android, or rather on Windows, to create Android app and what have you. So let's go to the dependencies. Number one dependency we'll worry about is I'll leave all these guys. Okay, we will need the capacitor Android component. We will need the CLI. We will need the capacitor core. Of course, we'll need the iOS version as well. I'm sure you know what capacitor is. This guy, is majorly allows you to easily convert HTML to mobile app. That's the idea. Then in one of the project I did, I discovered that the status bar thing is an issue, right? If you notice the new phones now, that status bar is very seamless to the screen, top of the screen. So it's difficult for you to now engage with the phone status bar and your own screen status bar. So I think this is kind of a fix for it. Okay, so I have this guy, and the purpose of this is so that we don't install it one by one. Once I do npm install, all these things that we are loading here, it's going to install it for us technically. So we have bootstrap icon, we have React. So the form make also added there. The OTP thing we talked about. We also have to pull in, the guy is smart. He's putting up YUMP for us, but don't be too fast. Okay, what's our React version? Okay, this is doing React 19. That's good. Okay, which other one? Toss notification. we're doing that. Where is the yump? Okay, that's the last. So I'm adding the last two, which is SWR and then yump. This is more of like continuous querying to get query. I think I showed that up one time like that. Now the development tools that we need to make, our app come to life. We need Node. Is there anything Node here? No, there's no Node. We need type of node. We need React and DOM. That's already captured. We need React plugin for React. Is it there already? Yes, it's here already. So we need elints is there as well. We need hooks. Hooks are there. Plugin for React is there. Prettier, very important. We need to drop in Prettier there. Prettier needs to go in. Of course, our Vite needs to be there. Then remember this guy, the Vite plugin HTML. So that's the inside one of the config. This guy featured there. And I guess that's it. We have Vite test. Even though, did I use it? I've not used it. I didn't use it, but let me just put it there. I think it's a test kind of a thing. Now let's see the next thing that we need to do. And that's all for that part. We then need to have our load. We have this load environment that I created. Even though we don't have an environment variable for now, it's going to be coming, obviously. So, no, I'm supposed to just paste. Yes, there's it here. Load environment. I can't go through the code, but the idea is that it's supposed to load the environment variable into the application. So let's see what other thing we are missing. The index page doesn't do much. Let's go and see this one, the configuration JSON. So let me just override what is here. So why is it closing this one? Is this one not longer needed anymore? Okay, we don't have time. I think that's depreciated, but we don't have time to go through that one now. Even though we are not ready to use capacitor now, I just want to put as many things as we need so that by the time we start using them, it will just be there. So we'll have the capacitor file and it's straight away. What that does is that it's just to create the application itself. So this is just the configuration file. Then for our versioning, I have what I call the bump version. I told you what that is. It's just to increment, automatically increment. Once you do a pre-build, it will increment that. Just a fancy stuff. Then we go to our prettier, the star of the day, or of the day. Let's get our prettier in there. So apparently it doesn't want to paste, but you're gonna paste by force. So this is the prettier thing, setting all the needed stuff that you need to do, making sure you are using a tab, the print suite and what have you. So all this now, if you run that, what's the word now? If you run the script inside here for prettier format, it's going to look through prettier configuration that we did here, and it's going to do the needful. So we still have, we're almost done. I think we have one more. Technically, let's do two more, sure. So let's paste this one here. Paste, and that would be this guy. I don't have any comment on that one. Then let's go ahead and put our environment variable. So even though we're not capturing anything yet, let's have it there. So I have this environment variable. This is supposed to be a way. So we're not doing paste tag. We're going to be having a proxy server. Do I need to call it proxy server? So the idea is that this is going to be like the backend, how to access the backend. The application that I'm copying this from, I have like a proxy before getting to the main server, but we're not going to have a proxy here. So this is supposed to be our main server. I can call it proxy server for now, but I can change the name to something else. You can say endpoint or API. So you have to put Vite in front. It has to be Vite first before whatever you want to call it. So you can put your endpoint. And then this can be, it can just be like this, version 1. Then it will be picking from there. Of course, if we're online, we need to now change it to the production version. So the production will be like this. So production, and of course you put the production IP information there. Okay, I guess that's everything for now. So let's see and check if everything will work. Fingers crossed. Let's hope everything works the way it's supposed to be. Yeah, of course it has shouted a lot of things here. So the first thing is for you to do npm install and hope everything works well. Okay, so it's gonna take some time to make all these things work. One of the things that I did in the configuration here in the TypeScript is to make sure that when you are inside writing an app or writing your code, if you notice the sample code that we did before, one of the things that it does is that you don't need to be doing this. So you can simply do this. And then is it this or like so? Yes, you can do this and it will pick it up for you, just to make sure that I don't mess with the code for now. So that's one of the things that I make sure I fix with this stuff. Well, let me see where the error is coming from. We'll have an error somewhere. Must have a certain composite. True. Okay, so let's hope this does not disturb what we are doing. Let's try and see. Let's run some of those things. Let's check if the server is running at least. If it's not giving us error first, then we'll know if we should address this or not, because this is just JSON configuration. And but of course it's checking other things to make sure that you are putting everything in place. This file exists, yeah. So let's go ahead and run the server to check what's the big deal. cd front end, and then we do, let me check the one that I want to run. Okay, let's first do npm run dev. Then I'm going to run other ones. Okay, so I think the 3000 there is the one that we saw. And what that does is that it creates consistency. I can't find where that configuration is anymore. But remember when I was saying that, yeah, that's it there, where you are calling from. So it creates this consistency. You don't have to be, changing ports all the time. So if you leave it for this guy Vite to do it, it will just run with port that is available. Okay, so let's go and check and see that run. Okay, so it's running, right? So we don't have any issue. We're not concerned about the view now because there's nothing in the view. What we are dealing with first is the structure and making sure every other thing is running. Now, what do I mean by every other thing is running? So let's run technically all these guys. Let's technically run all these guys. So I'm gonna come in here and do cd front end, And the idea is to make sure that all these guys are running and for you to understand the usage of this. Now, the first thing that this does, do you see version bump? Now you have 0.0, even though this is not really, it's just aesthetics, nothing so serious, just to bump the version, right? So instead of manually going to change, oh, we're in .1, we're in this thing, it just bumps the versions for you. Although this does not have anything to do technically with the branch version. Of course, you know that the branch version is 0.1 only, so it doesn't have, it's just internal workings that I was playing with. Okay, we already know what write does. Then this one does build. Let's see what this build does. Of course, you know what build does. It builds the whole thing and make it ready for usage. So it says cannot find write. Cannot find command write. I'm going to let this guy solve it for us, because right now I can't think. So this is not gonna take forever for it to, okay, it's working faster for us now. So let's see. Okay, so it says that we should run the command using npx. Really? We didn't have this. So let's give it a try. So apparently it's saying that we don't have write on my system. Are you kidding me? Let me try that. So we should have write as a global command line, obviously, or as a package that we can reuse. So now that we have that, let's try it again and see if it works. Voila, it works. So please guys, use AI, please. Okay, so you now have that done, and this is as a result of all the customizations we've done that allow us to, you can see it's building for production and it's doing all this stuff. I don't have time to start explaining everything. This is the minification of the whole thing is doing. The next thing I want to show you is this is just to check TypeScript. If you just do this, it will just check, yes, it has seen an error, right? So it's to check that, your TypeScript is well structured. So this now is looking as if it's a JSON problem. So again, I don't know what he's saying there. I just try to fix it, because I've looked at it. I don't know what he's talking about. So let's see. I don't see anything. I just see accept, but I don't know. It's not fixing anything. So let me try this other method. Okay, that's added another attribute for us, but let's go ahead and accept it. It's still not working. So I'm going to undo that and continue. So we're going to ignore this one for now. So later we'll fix this later. So let's go back to our package and see other ones that we need to run. Now the next one is the formats. Yes, I love this. By the way, you're not supposed to be copying and paste like this. Hey, what's that double quotes doing there? Okay, that's escape. I don't need to escape now. There's no space inside. So do I need to escape? Since it doesn't have any space in between. So like I mentioned to you guys, ideally, we're not going to be copying and paste. You're supposed to just simply click. In fact, there's a plugin that you can, I think it's even available. So if I click on, yeah, that's it. So we can use this method, guys. So if I click on debug, I can just click on any of the one that I want. So if I click on this format, you can see that automatically it loads that into our environment, which is cool. That's what I want to do instead of copying and paste. Now, this format thing, it has seen quite a lot of issue with it. What's the issue that it's seeing? So first of all, I'm going to stop this and do it manually. Then I'm going to come back because it has created a debug environment for us. So let's run it manually. Then later we'll come to it. So let's do cd front end. Okay. So let me undo what I did, because right now it seems as if it's not working. Okay, no match found for this. We're gonna ignore this one and move to the next thing. So this one might be a little bit somehow because we don't have this is trying to install. What is this guy even doing? I have no idea. Packages. Oh, okay. So what this is doing is that it's updating all our packages automatically. So imagine you can just run a script and then all your packages are up to date. So it checked for Android and we now have Android 4.3. That's for capacitor Android. So this one was a major bump. That's interesting. Node itself. So it bumped it up to 24, and quite some updates that it has done as well. So that's what that one is for. So let's look for the capacitor guy. So this one is trying to create an iOS application. Again, we're not going to spend too much time here. So if iOS has not been added yet, so it's telling me to add the platform into our system because we don't have the folder, because you're supposed to create that folder. There's a command line that is supposed to create that structure so that it will pick from. Apparently, I think that has not been done. So let me even see. Let me see the command for it. Let's tell it to. I'm kind of curious. I want to actually check what it wants us to do. Okay, so it wants us to do this, add iOS. So let's go ahead and do this guy. So you can see that it's building, it has added iOS stuff to it. And yeah, we have the folder. This is the iOS folder right here. And we can go ahead and try and create the iOS app. Okay, so let's do this one. So, yep, it has done that. We're not going to go ahead and run iOS whatever, because that will take us another thing done, but it has gone ahead. So imagine if you wanted to, if you've done everything proper, your iOS is set, you put all your icons and everything, just gonna pick it up, you can ship it to App Store. And the same, can be said for your Android and whatever. So you can create the release here, and it's gonna create call Xcode right away. If you run this, it's going to start building the app. It's gonna launch it, and yeah, normally it's supposed to launch it and bring it up. So I'm supposed to get my iPhone connected to it, do all the needful. Once that is done, you can see that it's saying it saw some error or what have you. So that is the environment setup that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So everything is set on except this one. So we can ignore this. You can see that it's not affecting what we are doing, but I will have it sorted out later. So let's look into Golang a little bit and then we'll call it a day. Remember I said this is supposed to just be short stuff, and then you go on with doing what it is you have to do. So first of all, do I want to add, I'm looking at if I should delete this. Okay, let me just delete this for now. So it's not, I don't want to make the project all bloated. So notice that we now have our dist or destination or distribution folder. This is because we published or we built. Yes, that's why this one came up. Okay, I think I should just leave backend for now. Let's leave Go for today. Let's not to dive into it. Go is now in 1.25 as in version. So I think we'll do Go some other time. We need to spend more time on the front end, as in building the interface that we have on that. Do you have any question? This is a good time for you to put in your question.
No, sir.
Okay. want to end my stream on YouTube.